Hello everybody. It was reported over the weekend that a horticulturalist felt that houseplants were going to suffer because human beings that they lived with were no longer staying at home but going back to work. She suggested that they needed the companionship of human beings, and that it would be a good idea to leave the radio on just to make them feel more at home in this transition to an emptier house. Another horticulturist didn't quite go that far, but suggested that actually plants did benefit from the extra carbon dioxide that people breathing around them created, and from the vibrations that people moving around them created, and that the lack of these would affect the house plant's health. Well, you can take that or leave it, but it did make me think again about the issue of being alone, of loneliness that this pandemic has thrown up into high relief. So many people struggling with the isolation of lockdown. And now that we're coming out of it, it isn't going to go away. And it's a big problem. A survey before the pandemic suggested that 9 out of 10 people aged 18 to 24 experience loneliness, and it is something that goes across all age groups. I came across some research recently that suggested that one of the problems with loneliness is that it tends to alter your perception, and particularly your perception of rejection. If we reach out to people, we're clearly running the risk of being spurned. But if we are already lonely, then we are much more likely, apparently, to experience rejection, even when it isn't there. And so one way of responding to a sense of being alone is to reach out, but actually not to take too seriously the sense that our body might be giving us that we have been rejected, but to try and retain some of our self-confidence and to persevere in our attempts to engage with other people. And the other thought I wanted to share was a quotation I came across from Dag Hammarskjöld, the former United Nations Secretary General, who said, and he struggled with loneliness a lot, that the trouble with loneliness was not that you had no one to share your burden with, but that you had nobody else's burden to share. One of the things that we do for human beings is just to support and strengthen each other. And one of the things that you don't get when you haven't got that kind of relationship with anybody is that you don't have the privilege, and sometimes the pain too, of course, of sharing someone else's burden. But maybe that's a hint that one way out of loneliness is to seek voluntary work or some kind of way in which you can engage with other people who would benefit from your support and your care and your attention.